So, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jordonel, positively insane, and um,
Let's talk about this. What's your occupation?
I have a lot of occupations. I clean. Um, I'm working with my friend right now, and um, this kind of stuff. I'm doing social media. Um, I'm starting a team. Well, I've started working with a team of people, and we're starting a radio station. It launches very soon, and this will be on it. Um, and then I'm a mom all the time. Um, what else do I do? I do a lot of things. I help take care of my little sister. She's disabled. She's 18, and um, whatever I can, service here or there for people. But people do service for me too, so it's my way of kind of keeping things going in the universe.
So, with your, so let's talk. So, are you a single mother? Are you with the father? The father, is he present? Let's talk about your family
Okay, so
dynamic.
it's kind of complicated. Um, I started early, so my first son was born when I was 18, and I had two children with his father, well, their father. We got married, and that didn't work out. Um, he's in their lives. He lives in a different state. And then I got married again, and not in all these orders, but I had two children with that gentleman, and he's in their lives. He sees them all the time. He's at their school every Friday. He volunteers his time there. And um, so my kids range from 6 to 18 years old.
18 years old. So
Mm-hmm.
that would make you how old?
I'm 36.
Get out of here.
Yes. Yep.
Black don't crack.
It doesn't. And I, again, I had to pay it to being vegan. I look like I'm 10 years younger than I did 2 years ago. So
Yes, you do.
props to being vegan.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Um, so I have a boyfriend also, and he's stepped up and he's part of the family. We've embraced him and he's embraced us, and he plays a father role very well. He's also a father of two beautiful little girls, and yeah.
Let's talk about your current boyfriend.
Okay.
Tell me, a reason why I want to know is because it takes a strong man
It
to
does.
come into this situation.
It does.
And I hate to say situation, but
Yeah.
to come in to be with a woman who has
Four kids.
four kids,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let's talk.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Um, so we met at the club, and so I went vegan. I had to bring the vegan thing into it because it changed my life. It changed my life. I went vegan, and in the summer of 2017, and I just was like, oh, I'm not doing perms on my hair anymore. I'm not straightening my hair through perms anymore. I'm going natural. So I went natural. Then I was like, I started to feel myself. I started to be in my feelings a lot. I was thinking all the time. And I was like, I can't date. I can't date right now. I'm I haven't been successful in any relationships. Um, I haven't loved myself. I don't know who I am anymore. Um, just learn to love yourself, girl. So I did. And so I like swore off men, but I was really mad at them. Like, I was on like strike. And so I even had men like, I have to unfollow you right now on my social media because I was so rotten.
He was going in.
I was just like, "Urgh!" But I wasn't looking at myself. And a belief system that we don't really die. Our energy's still here and we have a purpose. So, yeah.
Veganism.
Yeah.
So, for those of us who do not understand what veganism is, do you want to elaborate a little bit more about what a vegan lifestyle is like?
Yeah, I would love to. Um, Veganism is it's a lifestyle about peace and kindness and being self-aware. Because when we use animals, so it's about not using animals. When we use animals, we harm our environment in different ways. So, um, by I'm going to throw out numbers. We kill 65 billion animals a year, and that's land animals. And we kill that much in weight, size of sea creatures. And so,
Time out. We kill 65 billion animals per year.
per year.
Now, are we talking about America or are we talking worldwide?
That's worldwide numbers.
Okay.
And equal that in weight. So think of all those animals and how much they weigh. We kill that many in weight of sea creatures every year. And
Is there a more predominant animal in particular that we kill more than others?
not really.
Not really.
In America, it's chicken, cows, pigs, turkeys, geese. I mean, we use animals for everything. There's lamb in cereal. Toilet paper has animal parts in it. So if you think about it, that's a lot of pieces of body parts that we have to get rid of every year. And so people just throw them into everyday products. So,
So, by you being vegan,
mhm.
how much of that do you feel that you're not contributing to that?
um,
Just as one human.
so I save an animal every day by not eating an animal, or yeah, by not consuming animals. I save one per day. It's not a lot if you think about um, 65 billion, but if you're thinking of a life that you're saving, that's a lot. If you thought of somebody's child being saved from not having cancer, that's a lot. And that's how we view life: is every life is special. So what we save is just huge. Um, we only use a certain, like a small percentage of land compared to meat eaters, or we also call them carnists. And I'm trying to think. I mean, it's like this never ending list of things that you're doing. Your carbon footprint is way lighter than somebody who doesn't care about what they're eating and putting in their body. Something else about veganism, uh, we believe in transfer of energy. A lot of people do. So if you think about animals that are bred, meaning they're artificially inseminated, so they're going through a life of torture and pain and sorrow because they're losing their children, they're losing their friends, fear, anxiety, no hope. There's cows that have never been outside. There's chickens that have never seen outside. Even free range chickens have never, some of them, they're just inside a big pen, they're just not in cages. It's dirty. It's a very dirty lifestyle. It's a very dirty thing to put into our bodies. Bodies, when they die, human and animal, they set into rigor mortis. And so if you think about what you're eating dead cells instead of living cells. So if you take like an onion and you eat it, you can eat half of it and you can plant the rest in the ground and it will grow new onion out. You're eating living cells. So our bodies, like oxygen, we like have an exchange with plants, and we don't have that with animals. Animals bleed, they cry, they scream, they run away. Plants don't do that. So you'll hear the argument often, like, what about the plants? Plants have feelings. They're sentient beings also. They are, but our cells coincide with theirs. Our cells don't coincide with animals, so we get sick from eating them. And a lot of people don't understand depression or anxiety or why they feel sad or hopeless. And I have a lot of friends that I've met, and I've also gone through the journey of finding out that those were feelings I was eating, not feelings that I was experiencing. There was no reason for me to not have hope. There was no reason for me to feel sad or depressed. I had a beautiful family. I was in school when all of these things started to come together. Um, so I was on a lot of medications. Animals are also given the same medications that we take for anxiety, depression. They're given antibiotics. 80% of the antibiotics made in the world goes to animal agriculture, which is also another reason why we have a dying planet. I heard a theory somewhere. I'm just rambling on. Okay, so I heard this. It was actually a Cherokee tale. It was a man, and he said, when you kill a tree, you kill a whole ecosystem, because the tree grows, and around the tree you have different plants. And Native Americans or the indigenous tribes, they would watch the animals go to different trees and collect different herbs and plants to eat or to heal like an illness. And so he said when a human takes a tree or kills a tree, you can lift it up and move it and put it somewhere else, but you're losing everything that was around it also. So we kill ecosystems. If you, a lot of people have heard the story about the wolves in, is it Yellowstone National Park? They killed a lot of them, they removed them, and the ecosystem started to die. The ways that animals were acting changed, and so the environment changed. And then they reintroduced them years and years later, and everything started to come back to life the way that it was before they took them out. So if you think about humans breeding animals, so people will also argue that humans have canine teeth, and we are smarter, but a smart species doesn't kill their own environment, and that's what we're doing.
So you mentioned that eating animal-based products is, detrimental to the environment. What do you tell somebody who is a college football player, an NFL football player, about how to properly energize their body without animal-based products? I mean, what do you suggest they do?
I would study veganism. There are bodybuilders, there are athletes. They have completely transformed their performance by trading over into a plant-based diet. So a lot of people are scared they won't be full or they won't get enough protein. But if you look at these people that are bodybuilders and they're in the gym all the time, they're eating more potatoes, more rice, yams. They're just adding more on where people would have meat. So if you study the way that you perform, let's say you try it. What transformed me actually was for my health, because I was so sick. So somebody told me to watch What the Health, and I did. And it was people challenging themselves to see what their performance would be after they changed over to a plant-based diet. So they found, protein thing it's a myth. You're not going to die from a protein deficiency. Protein is in plants, so when you get it through an animal, you're getting it secondhand. The only thing that you really need to worry about as a person switching over to a plant-based diet is B12. B12 is it's a bacteria, and it grows on the plants that are rooted. So when you pull the plants out and you throw them to an animal, they're getting the B12. But when you pull the plants out and you throw it to a store, they're washing it 10 times before it reaches our plates. We're washing it too, so it gets washed off our food. So that's also something that people get through animals, but we can get it in different ways. So
should we not wash The fruit that we get
No,
from the store?
you're not gonna. It's already been washed too many
Okay.
times. So I just go to my doctor. I just walk in. I don't need to meet with him. A nurse will give me a shot, and it lasts for 3 months. I think there are pills and dots that you can put on your skin, but to me, the shot's just easier because it lasts so long, and I don't have to worry about it. But that's your main worry, and making sure that you're eating nutrients and you're not just eating processed vegan foods. So plant-based diet, you're thinking plants in there's in a simple form rather than over processed. But you can find tons of vegan foods that aren't that they replicate like meat, um, and you'll find people that eat those too. But studies show that people with a vegan diet live longer than people that are carnists. Um, Centennials around the world, that's something that most of them have in common is a plant-based diet.
Centennials are.
People over 100 years old.
How many are those?
I don't know. But somebody studied it, and they said the one thing that they had in, well, not one thing, but the most common thing that they had in together was plant-based diet. 61,000 deaths, cardiovascular diseases in America alone. And then it's cancer, I believe. And those are things that we're getting through our food. So I believe it's 10 hot dogs a month increases your child's chances of getting cancer. The things that are in hot dogs, look it up sometime. You wouldn't want to eat it if you knew it was inside a hot dog. But they're vegan hot dogs, so you can get those at Walmart. But we're focused on the wrong things in our country. We're focused on, I'll throw out some controversial things. We've got abortion, guns, we've got racism, and those are big issues and they are important. But if you look at the numbers of people dying compared to the numbers of people eating themselves to death and not knowing that they're dying because these foods are killing them, we have a problem. We're talking about the wrong things. We should be talking about our food and our health.
Preventative medicine, which is a good diet. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, and there are doctors. I just watched a video of a doctor explain a plant-based diet. He spoke about people that he works with and how they've turned around diabetes 2, type 2, and heart problems 100%. 6 years down the road, the people that had stayed, all but one, I believe, had stayed with the plant-based diet, and they were all still 100% cured. So people will go have their veins cut open, but they won't change what they are eating, and it's a sad thing that we can't talk about diet without offending each other. I believe it's an addiction problem. Again, we're putting medicines into these animals, and then you're frying it up. I mean, if you think about a crack lab, what is it? It's a bunch of chemicals being cooked. So we're doing that, plus we're taking medicines because we're feeling all these ways, and we don't know what's going on with ourselves, and we're lost. I've lost all the weight that I wanted to lose. I went from having back problems and laying in bed for 4 years. I spent 3/4 of that time in bed. The other amount of time was pretty much at the doctor's. I went vegan and I went 6 months without going to the doctor's. And when I went in, they were like, "What's going on? You look so different." I felt happy again. I feel energized. I feel motivated. I feel creative. I feel like I can go out and do the things that I wanted to do. I feel like I will be around for my children. I feel like I can help friends and family and strangers heal through just this information. I'm not selling anything. I just want people to be happy. I want people to live their full potential. So I think it's important that we learn about food.
Okay, let's shift gears.
Okay.
Being African American in Utah as a lady,
Ooh.
what's that like?
Ooh. That has been a challenge most of my life.
Are we talking personal? Are we talking business?
I'm talking about
Dating?
everything. Yeah. As a child, I grew up in a very religious community, and I learned early on that I thought that my ancestry was slavery. I didn't know it went back to Africa. I didn't know it went back to the Egyptians. I didn't know it went back to kings and queens. I didn't know it was biblical. I thought that I had very little value. I was told that I should stick to sports and singing. Teachers told me that I couldn't read, and that's okay because slaves couldn't. I believed black people couldn't read.
Time out. What city did you grow up in, and what teacher told you this?
It was Utah County, and it was multiple teachers. Yeah, I wasn't put in resource class. It was just, it's okay that you can't read. The slaves couldn't either. And I want to say the first time I heard that was probably 3rd grade, 4th grade. And it made me scared of reading. I was scared to death to read. And so I thought I was stupid. And I pretty much failed every class. I didn't even put effort until high school. And then I started to care a little bit because I liked the material I was learning in different classes. And I stood up for Jews. I was in a history class and I stood up for Jews because somebody said something stupid, and I was just like, I'm Jewish, and everybody stopped in their tracks, and then a few people apologized for making comments about Jews, and I think I said something because I wanted to represent a group that wasn't there, even though I wasn't Jewish. So it's a lot bigger than Utah, and that I did have value. I had guys telling me I would date you, but my parents, they'd get mad because you're black. Yeah, I didn't like growing up here as far as like outside influences, but my home was very loving. My mom, she's white. My dad's black, and Cherokee. She took kids in. They would be Latino, black, white, and we grew up on a farm. So at home, I felt loved, I felt safe, I felt wanted, I felt special, I felt everything a kid needs to feel. Had I not had that, I'm not sure I'd still be here because it was rough. But yeah, I moved back. I went through a divorce, and then I started going to the club, and I started getting a lot of attention. They were recruiting all these different athletes from all these places, so there was more culture in Utah, in Salt Lake, and I found it in the clubs, and I loved it. I felt accepted, I felt wanted, I felt pretty, I felt beautiful. I felt like I didn't have to sneak around, or I felt like I belonged. And then I started going to college also at Utah Community College, and then they changed it to Utah. What is it? UCCU. Is that no? UVSC.
UVU?
Okay. Yeah, UVU. So it was UVSC, and then they changed it to UVU.
Okay.
It's been a while. And I studied psychology there, and one of my favorite teachers, Dr. Ron Hammond, he taught me a lot about racism, and he taught me about black families and what they really are, and how we have strong communities and parents are really there for their children, and if a child has a pregnancy in their teenage years, they help them out. They don't throw them out and expect them to be adults right away. I learned a lot through him and his classes. I took many of his classes, and then I started to really stand up for myself and others. But I had a chip on my shoulder. I was really angry. I just wanted to let everybody know how much they hurt me, and yeah, that took a while. But veganism, it saved me. I was able to let go of my anger and not view my community as a villain. And I was able, through some needy experiences, to count on them. And they helped me and loved me and held me up. And so I've learned to fit in. I've learned that it's okay that I stand out a little bit and that I can still be friends with people, and our kids can hang out, and we don't even have to have the conversation. So it's been better as an adult than it was as a child.
Why do you feel that those, how do I say, not those labels, not labels, but why do you feel like those ideologies were so rampant in Utah?
Religion. It runs deep in the religion.
Religion
As in LDS, the LDS religion. It's taught in their teachings that black people come from Cain, who was an evil person, and so they're marked through birth and into their bodies. Slaves, or black people, will be slaves in heaven. I mean, anytime you have somebody trying to dominate somebody else, you're going to have those kind of ideologies where something's not as good as being something else. So that religion also has a problem with women and people that don't identify as being straight, and Native Americans. So it's just a way of thinking, I think.
What if somebody would have told you when you were a child that African American women are actually the most educated group in America?
That would have played a very different role in my life, I think. But I believe it was the way it was for a reason. So I want to say that I would have done things very differently had I believed in myself and loved myself and accepted myself. And I never looked at anybody else that was not white as less than somebody that was white, but I viewed myself that way. And I didn't like being told I was adopted. I didn't like being told that I came from slavery. They didn't tell us good stories. They didn't tell us about slaves fighting back. They didn't tell us about slaves being stolen. They didn't tell us that slaves could read. They just weren't allowed to read because then they would gain their own power. I didn't know about black inventors. I didn't know black inventors. There was a black inventor for the light bulb. I didn't know for the street lights, for the broom, for the refrigerator, for security systems. Like, I didn't know all these people were inventing all of these things. And so...
You didn't know about Madam C.J. Walker?
No. I didn't know about a lot of things.
So I'm assuming Black History Month was not celebrated in your school.
If it was, I probably would have been scared of it. I heard the word nigger more times than I wanted to, and it would be in reading material, and everybody would look at me every time the word was said. So I would just not go to class. I usually hid at recess or like around corners where I knew kids wouldn't be walking. I hung out with the kids that had, you know, the ones that were made fun of. That was my group.
So what was it like to encounter, you know, transplants, like people that weren't from Utah, African Americans that weren't from Utah? What was it like to encounter them?
It was exciting, if they were men, because men men are more accepted, I want to say, by women, and even here in Utah, because they're athletes, like, or people think they are. Um, so they've got status. And when it came to women, it was like, oh, well, we're all after the same guys. So, and plus we had all the white girls to worry about too. So, it was very different interacting with men and women that moved here. And most of them I met through college. So, yeah, I, I think guys have it easier in Utah if you're not white than women do. Um, it's a tough road to be a black woman in Utah. Women are already paid less than men in Utah. And then you have this belief system. A lot of people are walking around in their heads literally thinking that person's bad, and you can tell because they're not white. And then being the mad black woman, I was
Yeah, the moment that a woman of color, especially an African American woman, stands up for herself at work, she's labeled.
Yeah, mad black woman. Mm-hmm.
She has an attitude.
Yeah. So, I haven't worked very many places in Utah that are professional because professional settings